All right, everybody. Good evening. For the record, it's 5:15 PM on Thursday, October 25th, 2018. The Wenatchee City Council is out of executive session. I'll call the meeting to order. First is our pledge to our flag. Councilmember Markart, would you lead us?
I'd like to.
Thank you.
My pleasure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, council member. We have 5 council members present. Mr. Huffaker, are you on phone?
I am here, yes.
Thank you. And Mr. Poyer is home sick this evening. First item on our agenda is the consent items, which includes this evening's agenda, the vouchers, and the minutes from the previous meeting.
Your Honor, I make a motion that we adopt our consent items tonight, which include the agenda for this evening's meeting, vouchers, and minutes from previous meetings.
Second?
Motion by Councilmember Kulas, second by Councilmember Bailey to adopt this evening's consent items, including the agenda, vouchers, and the minutes from previous meetings. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Next item on our agenda this evening would be citizen comment. We'd ask if any member of the audience would like to address the council on something that's not on this evening's agenda. We'd give you the microphone, give you 3 minutes, ask for your name and address. Seeing no takers, we will move on to our presentations. We've got 2 today. The first is regarding the Veterans Day proclamation. Councilmember Kulas, do you have that?
I do. Whereas on November 11 of each year, we honor our veterans, men and women who have served our country with honor and distinction. On Veterans Day, we show them our deepest thanks. Their sacrifices have helped secure more than 2 centuries of American progress, and their legacy affirms that no matter what confronts us or what trials we face, there is no challenge we cannot overcome, and our best days are still ahead. Whereas, although much has changed since Americans first took up arms to advance freedom's cause, the spirit that moved our forebears is the same spirit that has defined each generation of our service members. Our men and women in uniform have taught us about strength, duty, devotion, resolve, cornerstones of commitment to protect and defend that has kept our country safe for over 200 years. In war and in peace, their service has been selfless and their accomplishments have been extraordinary. Whereas even after our veterans take off the uniform, they never stop serving. Many apply the skills and experience they developed on the battlefield to a life of service here at home. They take on roles in their communities as doctors and police officers, engineers and entrepreneurs, mothers and fathers. As a grateful nation, it is our task to make that transition possible, to ensure our returning heroes can share the opportunities they have given so much to defend. The freedoms we cherish endure because of their service and sacrifice, and our country must strive to honor our veterans by fulfilling our responsibilities to them and upholding the sacred trust we share with all who have served. Whereas on days like this, we are called to reflect on immeasurable burdens that have been borne by so few. We pay tribute to our wounded, our missing, our fallen, and their families, men and women who have known the true cost of conflict and deserve our deepest respect now and forever. Now, therefore, I, Frank J. Kuntz, Mayor of the City of Wenatchee, with respect for and in recognition of the contributions our service members have made to the cause of peace and freedom around the world, do hereby proclaim November 11, 2018 as Veterans Day in the City of Wenatchee, and encourage all citizens to recognize the valor and sacrifice of our veterans through appropriate public ceremonies and private prayers. In witness whereof, I have caused the seal of the City of Wenatchee to be affixed on this 25th day of October, 2018. Frank J. Kuntz, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Kulas. Come on up. How are you? Nice to see you. Oh, picture. You want to address the council briefly? Let us know what's going on parade and all those things.
Well, the parade will start at 11 o'clock. And on November 11th, it's a Sunday. And we'll have the riders starting off at the pre-parade. We'll start out with the flags, continue on with the veterans in vehicles, the fallen hero banners, and bands. We have Wenatchee High School Band will be our feature band this year.
Great. Always a great event. Thanks again. Appreciate it.
Mayor.
You bet. All right. And I think next is we get to do our Year of Service Awards. So Carrie, Caitlin, and thank you all for being here. We got a great contingency
Yes.
of
Thank you,
folks that
Mr.
have
Mayor.
worked a lot of years with the city of Wenatchee.
So Carrie Page, Director of Human Resources, and as you know, the City of Wenatchee acknowledges employees who have reached milestones in their years of service. We recognize these employees and extend our sincere gratitude for their dedication and many contributions to the City of Wenatchee's success. For our milestones, and those are here today, for the record, I'll mention everyone on the list, but we'll recognize those that are here today with their service certificate, as well as PIN, and for 10, 20, and 30-year employees, they also get an Apple plaque. So, number one, I would like to actually invite Caitlin, our Human Resources Assistant, up to help pass awards to the mayor. We're going to do picture opportunities at each year set, but I'd like to invite Tony Sherding up here, who has reached 30 years of service. Yeah. So, Anna's I just wanted to make mention that Tony is our senior regional water plant operator for the Public Works Department. And Anna, if you could come up and get a picture with the mayor, we'll commemorate this milestone. Wonderful. Thank you very much for your service, Tony.
Well done, Tony.
So
Thank you for keeping our drinking water safe.
I'd like to now call up Gary Faulkner and Julie McWiggins for 25 years of service. So Gary Faulkner is a senior engineering technician with the Public Works Department. Julie McWiggins is a quality control technician with the Public Works Department as well.
Oh, make sure you get over here.
How cute, Gary and I together.
I know, right? I thought that was only fitting. Thank you for your years of service. I'd like to now call up Bill Schneider, Maria Reyes, and Allison Williams, our very own Allison Williams, for 20 years of service. 20 years. And Bill Schneider, he is a maintenance worker with our streets department and public works. Maria Reyes is our permit specialist with community development. And we all know our dear Allison as executive services director for our administration and mayor's office. What a great group. Thank you. And then holding up, I'll let them get through. Sorry. So holding up the 5 years representing for the group is Glenn DeVries, Community Development Director. And we'll get a picture. Gotta commemorate.
None of the 10-year folks are here.
Thank you, Glenn. So that's all for those that are here. I believe we had a couple officers. No? Oh my gosh, I jumped over. My apologies. Dave Hendrickson, could you come up for the 10-year employees? He's like, what about me? I guess I just wanted him to sit longer. Yeah. Thank you so much, Dave. Yeah, we'll take care of it. So just to make mention of those that weren't able to be here tonight, other 10-year award recipients are Seth Bueller, Corporal with the Police Department, Donald Nelson, Development Review Engineer for Public Works, Todd Davis, maintenance worker in the Streets Division with Public Works. And then 2 of our police force who are busy right now that were going to be here, Nathan Hahn, Sergeant with the Police Department, and Ron Wilson, Officer First Class with the Police Department. We also have Chris Wright, Officer First Class with the Police Department, and Devlin Walt, Wastewater Treatment Plant Maintenance Technician with the Public Works Department. And then of the 5 years that we're not able to make it, other arrangements, other obligations, Tim Hurt, Maintenance Worker 2 with the Parks Division under Public Works, Kevin Batiste, Officer First Class with the Police Department, Josh Rader, Wastewater Treatment Plant Operator with the Public Works Department, and Josh Wynn, Senior Traffic and Lighting Technician with the Public Works Department. So congratulations to all of these wonderful employees. I think it says a lot about the city with these long-term employees staying with us all of this time, the dedication that we get from this, and we really appreciate their service. Thank you for allowing us to honor them at this venue.
You don't have to stay. It's okay. We get it.
We're going to Joe's and celebrating.
Thank you.
All right. So before we get to our action items today, Chief Crown called me today and asked if he could close down Chelan Street during lunch hour, and I wasn't quite sure why he wanted to close down. Chief, I'm talking about you.
Yes, sir.
How you called me and wanted to close down Chelan Street during rush hour today. So you want to, or during lunch hour, you want to come up and tell the council what happened today?
Jason can come on up because he wrote the
Oh, come on up, Jason.
press release.
Okay.
So Jason can kind of fill in some of the blanks, but we had a house that was up here in the 200 to 300 block of North Chelan that had been watched for a number of weeks. Drug activity as well as other nefarious activity, and developed probable cause to serve a search warrant on some individual that lived there at that house. We had to shut down Chelan Street at 5th, and thank goodness for our streets department for assisting, because they did a bang up job. They came out there with barricades. It allows us to focus on the safety aspects and help us to direct traffic. So it was a big team effort by the city to make sure that this thing went off safely. I'll let Jason kind of talk a little bit about the SWAT team arrival.
So the chief kind of mentioned most of it here, but the search warrant was for 2 subjects that had probable cause for unlawful possession of a firearm. So that automatically bumped up the safety level and what we needed to do to serve that warrant. So it was decided to use the regional SWAT team. And due to the residents being right on Chelan Avenue, we determined the safest thing for the public would just be to shut down that block of the avenue until the residents could be secured. So they served the search warrant and had 5 arrests out of the house, the 2 target individuals with the warrants, as well as 3 others.
What'd you guys find in the house?
They were still searching when I left to come here. So
And Chelan Street was closed for half hour, 45 minutes?
it was about an hour
About an hour.
in total. Lasted a little longer than we anticipated. The house was a little bigger, and we didn't have complete cooperation right from the start.
The Columbia River Drug Task Force has been doing an absolute bang-up job. Jason, he has a supervisor at Chelan County that actually reports to him, and the efforts are heroic because you've got a lot of energy right now in the Drug Task Force. They're making great cases, public safety in mind, and they're not done. They're constantly going, and days like this create volumes of paperwork, but they're on to their next case, so they're doing a great job, and it's great to have a regional effort there. the SWAT team as well, because we wouldn't be able to do some of these high-risk entries and apprehend some of these criminals as safely as we are without the cooperation that we have with Chelan County and some of our other partner agencies.
Okay. Well, thanks, Chief. Jason, thank you so much for
Thanks,
doing that.
thanks, guys.
Thanks for being here. And
Thank you so much for what
Congratulations
you
on
do.
all right, so we have a number of action items today, I think mostly sort of contractual in nature. First item is regarding a contract with, we're doing the Chelan County Fire District 1 and Fire Marshal, I think.
Yes.
All right.
So the
Allison
first
Williams?
agreement, Allison Williams, Executive Services Director. Good evening, Mayor and Council. So the first item you have before you is the first amended and restated interlocal cooperation agreement for fire marshal and other related services between the city and Chelan County Fire Protection District Number 1. So as you will remember, in 2015, we annexed our city of Wenatchee Fire Department into, or the city annexed into Chelan County Fire Protection District. And so as a part of that, we separated duties in terms of things that we would continue to control and things that the fire district would do for us. So this agreement is basically the same. However, as we've gone several years into it, the fire district did approach the city and ask for an augmentation that would really help bump us up in the Washington State Survey and Ratings Bureau fire protection class rating. And so what you have before you is an amended agreement, a copy of the Survey and Ratings Bureau last report that they did, and an amended agreement that anticipates participation by our utility. The city is represented in additional funding of the fire district through our in lieu of payments that we pay for our buildings, and then of course all of our citizens pay their property tax portion. So this would be our utility, looking at augmented maintenance of the hydrants. And of course, we would get the other services with it that are paid for out of other funds. In going back and forth with them, they did send an email this week and asked to carve a couple of items out of the contract. However, after discussions with our staff, we would rather not carve those items out. And so on page 47 of your packet, item A, at the top of the page, we have not yet gotten them into our SmartGov system. With Brian Brett coming over as our fire chief, he was successful in that in Douglas County with their SmartGov for entering inspections. So it is our desire that we continue to pursue that. They asked that on item 3 that the words "when warranted" were added. And again, on item C above that, when the transition happened, we have not been, the city has not been issuing the operational permits. Those are permits for businesses that have a fire intensive use, welding, or other activities that may have explosives. However, even though we haven't been issuing those, we wanted the option to keep that in there just in case we needed that opportunity down the road. So this is a 3-year agreement, starting at $120,000 a year, increasing by $5,000 for the 2 subsequent years. This has been reviewed with the City Council Finance Committee, and we believe it is a good way to go and would ask for your approval of the amended agreement.
Yeah, I met with chief and chief, or chief and assistant chief. I don't remember, they're switching positions. And we talked about this, and our utility fund can go out and check the fire hydrants, right? And our water guys can go out and check them and make sure they're working fine and report back. They've been out looking at them. They want to know how they're working. They want to make sure they know where they're at in case of a fire. If something breaks, or if they test it and it's not working, then our water crew will go out and fix it. It seems to make sense that you want your fire department making sure the hydrants are understanding where they're at, that they're working efficiently, that they're going into the building, especially the commercial buildings in our town, understanding where things are at. So we could do this with our utility crew. It seems to make sense to have the fire folks do it. They're looking for some money to hire another admin person in their fire marshal activities and looked for us for support to do that. Seems okay by me. Our utility fund is paying for it. It used to be your utility fund couldn't pay for that because fire hydrants were deemed a general fund purpose, but the legislature has changed that law. So our utility fund can now pay for it. So it's a little bit about playing well in the sandbox with others, and seemed reasonable to me. They asked for 150,000. I think I offered 100, and I think we settled at 120. So it seems I'm okay with this.
And we did kind of review this at public safety as well, and I think everybody in public safety was on board as well.
Yeah.
Thanks, Keith. All right, so if you don't have any other questions, I'd entertain a motion.
Your Honor, I move for City Council to authorize the mayor's signature on the first amended and restated interlocal cooperation agreement for fire marshal and other related services between the City of Wenatchee and Chelan County Fire Protection District Number 1.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Harold, second by Councilmember Esparza, to authorize the mayor's signature on the first amended and restated interlocal cooperation agreement for fire marshal and other related services between the City of Wenatchee, Chelan County Fire District Number 1. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Allison, Emergency Management with Chelan County.
So the next agreement you have before you also came out as a result of our annexation. Our fire chief at the time provided for the overall emergency management plan, comprehensive emergency management plan provided for the city. And so we have contracted out for those services with Chelan County, who is the designee when there is an emergency declared. The county is the designee for receipt of funds and those activities. This year, this agreement is renewed on an annual basis. And so what you have in your packet is their letter of request and an updated agreement. The amount reflected in the letter did not correspond with what we've been paying. So in my memo to you, I note that our contract last year was $89,944. And this request would increase the amount to $94,612. The $2.72 per capita is what all the other cities paid. They did not get us on that schedule last year, but said we want to get you on the same schedule as the other cities this year. So that's why if you were to do that calculation, it doesn't correspond. But in going back to the county, they said, we're not going to give you a break again in this. We want to bring you online at the same rate as our other cities, which in looking at the expense, it is a small adjustment in that contract. So we would ask for your consideration.
So Allison, the per capita amount is 274 going
Yes.
forward in the new contract?
Yes.
And that 274 comes out to 94,612 and change?
Yes.
Okay.
At roughly 34,000 citizens or so. And then all the cities pay based on their number of citizens as well
Yes.
into the pot, and the county does as well, and that's the pot they use for emergency management.
Yes.
They're very attentive to our needs. They come to the public safety meetings. They
Yes.
present stuff that goes on. Stan Smoke is still working for them, writing all the plans.
We have
And
representation here
Yeah.
as well.
so
this evening.
it seems to have been a good partnership, as much as I struggled when we did it, that we had to pay as much as we did. I think the longer I've been in it, I think that it's a good service that we get from them. And they've got a lot going on in emergency management in our county, so.
The other question I had, Allison, was you said it's an annual contract. Is there, like the other contracts, a 3-year contract? Is there some reason why we don't do multiple year contracts on this one? Or is that set in code or state law or something?
No, it is the way the county wants to do their
They wanna do it
contract,
on a
so that
year-to-year. Okay.
year to year, and then they have the annual opportunity to look at the rate.
Okay.
it certainly for the future could be something that we could look at a multi-year. I think it also gives us the flexibility. This is one of those services that should we choose to self-designate, we could do that. And so it also gives us the flexibility and be an annual contract.
Okay. Well, Your Honor, I'd make a motion that the City Council authorize the mayor's signature on the 2019 agreement for emergency services between the City of Wenatchee and Chelan County Department of Emergency Management.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Bailey, second by Councilmember Markart to authorize the mayor's signature on the 2019 agreement for emergency management services between the City of Wenatchee and Chelan County Department of Emergency Management. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Legal Services, Allison.
So our contract was up, and as you know, the mayor, by our city code, has the ability to appoint the position of city attorney. And so that you have before you a new 2-year contract with Steve Smith to provide our city attorney and prosecution services. He originally asked for a 4-year that allows for planning and for hiring staff for the contract. But the mayor requested a 2-year, giving some flexibility in the future as we move forward.
Yeah, my thought on a 2-year was just that we got election season next year. You don't know what's going to happen. So a 2-year contract gives obviously 19 and then 20 if there's a new mayor, new council members. And then that group can sort of decide what it is they want to do. Not that we both couldn't get out of this deal if we needed to either way, but it just seemed to me I want to make sure that we have at least a 2-year term for 2019 and then 2020. And so I just didn't feel like going a long distance with that was in the best interest of whoever might be sitting in the seat next time.
No offense taken.
Okay.
Your Honor, I make a motion for the council to confirm the mayor's appointment of city attorney and authorize the mayor's signature on the contract for legal services between the city and Steve D. Smith of Davis Arneal Law Firm, LLP.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Kulas, second by Councilmember Harold to authorize the mayor's signature on and to confirm the mayor's appointment of the city attorney, Steve Smith, and the law firm of Davis Arneal, LLP. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, Allison. Thanks, Steve. You do a great job.
Hey, you're welcome. Thank you.
Western Avenue, Jacob. When I saw that first, I go, which Western Avenue? We can't be doing this.
Yeah, this one's a little dated. So,
Yeah. This is
Jacob
the other
Heiler.
roundabout. Yeah.
Yeah, Jacob Heiler, Engineering Services Manager. I'll try to keep this one short and sweet for you guys. So,
Thank you.
this project, the Western Avenue Safety Improvements Project, was a grant-funded project that was constructed last summer. As you'll probably remember, it constructed the signal at Maple and Western, the mini roundabout at Cherry and Western, and then the sidewalk on Western and Number 2 Canyon Road between Skyline and Cherry. Like I said, it was grant-funded and came in slightly under budget, which is always nice to be able to sit here and say. So I'm here to ask for your approval for the mayor to sign the final contract voucher. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to take them.
None with me. That was a great project.
Yeah, look, yeah. The sidewalk at that intersection up there, I think pretty much since I've been on the council, starting 11 years ago, periodically get phone calls for people that wanted, can't you do something about that? You know, we walk the dog and it's dangerous and whatever. So it's really nice to get that intersection cleaned up there. So
Yeah, and I do get a lot of comments on the traffic signal at Maple and Western Avenue. That was a nice safety addition. Not so many great comments about the roundabout, but that just comes with roundabouts.
Really, and it works so well.
I know.
It works. I think it's working just great. Drive it every day.
I agree.
I do too, but there's still major pedestrian issues, especially at the new one. What I see is people are having to move further away from the roundabout to cross because when people are going through the roundabouts, they're too busy looking for the cars and they're not paying attention to the pedestrians.
All right, so I would entertain a motion if we had one.
Your Honor, I will make a motion for the city council to accept the work performed by the contractor Bianchi Construction on the Western Avenue Safety Improvement Project, City Project Number 1301, and further authorize the mayor to sign the final contract voucher.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Esparza, second by Councilmember Markart, to accept the work performed by Bianchi Construction on the Western Avenue Safety Improvement Project, project number 1301, and further authorize the mayor to sign the final contract voucher. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item E, Public Bridge, 2nd Street access. Who's got that one, Rob?
Good evening, Rob Janverman, Public Works Director. So what we have, this next item we have before you is requesting authorization from the council to allow the mayor to complete the negotiations for final agreements with the Wenatchee Reclamation District and McKittrick Place LLC. This is a bridge that will be installed at across the canal at Canal Street or Canal Drive and 2nd Street, I believe, is the intersection. The developer has submitted plans. They're reviewed. We are approving them this week, and the canal construction is set to start the first or second week of November. We have the legal documents from the Reclamation District. There's 2 agreements. The first one, I believe, city attorney had approved, and the second, where there's a couple of revisions that we're working on that will be forthcoming here in the next few days. So, any questions?
I'm just going to assume that the bridge is being constructed to withstand the imposed load of firefighting apparatus.
That's correct. We hired a structural engineer to serve as our reviewer of that bridge, and then Bethlehem Construction out in Cashmere will be precasting that bridge, and then it'll all be set in place.
Yeah, good. Thank you.
Rob, question, and looking at the diagram here where it doesn't go directly straight across, perpendicular right angle to the canal. It's kind of angled off there, so that you come out of the property from the west and coming onto Canal Street. Then Second Street there goes up where it comes into it, almost kind of like a T.
Mm-hmm.
Is there going to be a stop sign at that point, or is this going to be a free for all to see who makes it through first, kind of thing?
I don't know that. I can look into that and get back to you. The development, of course, isn't approved yet. It's 440, it hasn't started yet, but I'll talk to Gary Owens, our city engineer, about the traffic on that, whether that warranted. It seems like it probably would warrant a stop sign, but I can get back to you directly if you'd like.
To me, it just looks like an accident waiting to happen if there isn't some signage or a yield or something, maybe not a stop
Correct.
sign, but some kind of signalization or signage that would indicate where people are supposed to go and when.
Yeah, I'll be happy to follow up and reply back to you next week.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
And in essence, they're going to install the bridge, and we're in charge of maintenance once it's installed and inspecting it on a regular basis, and that sort of thing would be a regular city.
That's correct.
obligation.
Yeah, that'll be an extension of a public street into the development property when they move ahead with the subdivision.
Okay. Any other questions? If not, I would entertain a motion.
Well, Your Honor, I would make a motion for the City Council to authorize the mayor to complete negotiations and final agreements with the Wenatchee Reclamation District and McKittrick Place LLC for the construction of a public bridge and associated connections to the current city street system, and further authorize the mayor to sign the agreements on behalf of the city.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Bailey, second by Councilmember Esparza, to authorize the mayor to complete negotiations and final plat agreements and legal agreements with Wenatchee Reclamation District and McKittrick Place LLC for the construction of a public bridge. Discussion.
I have a question. How long will it take for the construction from start to finish?
We met with the contractor about 10 days ago. I think their construction schedule is beginning, like I said, the first or second week of November, and then about 30 to 45 days. There'll be very little or almost no impact on the streets. They'll be working actually on the west side of the canal from the development property. They will be offloading a little bit of equipment there at the street, but there'll be very minimal impact to the neighborhood. We are sending out a postcard notifying all the neighbors that the work is about to start and giving them a contact place for them to, if they have questions.
Great, thanks.
And he's obviously got to do it when there's no water in the ditch, and so this is sort of the time frame to do so, and so he's sort of anxious to get in there and get going.
Can you remind me when this went through the hearing examiner? It's been several years ago, hasn't it? More than 5 years ago?
Yes, it was approved in 2017 is what the staff, I'm just looking at the staff report here. The PRD that has a case number of 1604-04, so probably started a process in 2016 and approved in 17.
And I think that the street was put on the street comprehensive plan probably some 10 years ago or so. So the street has been
Okay, that's
yeah.
the part I was remembering, as it was in there quite a while ago.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so it was in the comp plan for a long time, and then obviously Mr. Noyes has purchased a property, wants access, and so it did go through the hearing examiner to approve the development, because Mr. Noyes isn't going to put in a bridge unless he gets to develop the property. So that has also gone through the hearing examiner, and he's approved preliminary approval of a development. So now Mr. Noyes will put in the bridge, and then he will continue on his development stuff, it sounds like.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, Rob. All right, budget amendment for our Dawn project. Is that you?
Yep.
You don't look like Jeremy, but that's okay.
We gave him the night off.
Excellent.
So this next item before you is asking for council approval to amend the project budget by $158,500. This is a 1,500, almost 1,600 feet of new sewer main in the Dawn Terrace, Horse Lake area. In the Dawn Terrace area, we hit significant river cobble when we opened up the street, and when we started excavating that, it undermined the road, and so we weren't aware of this material when we started the construction, and so it increased our costs both in backfill and in road restoration. But the project, they are prepping the road. They were prepping last week to pave, and so it's being wrapped up, but we did have an increase in those two costs.
So I assume, being a surprise, we weren't doing any core drilling out there in advance of design.
In talking to Jeremy, we did have some geotech, but they weren't aware of the extent of it. And if you had been by there, they had a pile of quarry that they dug out of there that was probably as large, this size of the council chambers, and about 20 feet tall. It was amazing, the river rock in there. And so
The bad news we're going over. The good news is actually a city street that we're actually repairing closer to city standard than, say, some of the work we've done in the county, which those roads look incredible. I mean, the county should be really happy they were putting sewer and redoing all their roads for them in the Sunny Slope area, because that road work is fantastic. So you got to build it and get it put back together. So and all of these things are paid for by the sewer budget, so we're not using our general fund or street fund for any of this.
Looking at your picture. Go ahead, Keith.
Is this considered a repair? I mean, I know when we grind a city street down, we have to bring all the sidewalks up to ADA compliance and all that. I don't believe there's any sidewalks in there, and I'm just curious what the rules are. Is this considered just a repair because we were putting the sewer pipe in, so the road is just being repaired, not resurfaced?
The road damage, when we lost the road with excavation, the road damage was so significant that they essentially pulled all the old asphalt in. And when I saw the work up there last week, they were bringing in all new crushed rock, and we'll have essentially a brand new road surface. So you call it a repair, but it's like building a new road. And you're correct, there is no curb gutter and sidewalk there.
And no requirement.
Right, and no requirement to bring it up to ADA standards or anything like that because it was a repair.
Yeah, he said that.
Is that correct?
Yeah, he said there's no need to do that, yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, I find your picture here kind of really interesting. I bet that cobble came out of there when you opened that up, just like marbles.
Exactly.
Coming out of there.
Yeah, it just starts sloughing away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of an interesting indication that you think of the elevation where that river was at one time to deposit all of that. So.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was back when you were teaching high school?
Yeah, about a year after I started, actually.
All right.
Frank was a freshman.
Yeah. I would entertain a motion if we had one.
Your Honor, I move for City Council to amend the project budget by $158,000 and $500 to pay for the additional paving and roadway work and further authorize the mayor to approve the construction change order.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Harold, second by Councilmember Markart to amend the project budget by $158,500 and authorize the mayor to approve a construction change order for the Don Terrace Sewer Project. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, Rob.
Thank you.
Mission Kittitas parking lot, Steve. Going to extend the purchase and sale agreement a little longer.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Steve King, Economic Development Director. Yeah, so this we have before you is a third amendment to the purchase and sale agreement with Widener. And this is to extend it an additional 90 days to January 15th to allow us to work through private partnership agreements. We first extension was for the environmental. The second was to initiate the points of the public-private partnership agreement. And now we're to the point of actually writing it and ironing out the details. And that always takes a little longer than you expect. Those are pretty involved. So this will give us through Christmas to get it done.
Yeah, we got the first draft of the development agreement earlier this week. We're going to sit down tomorrow with staff. I think Steve's coming, and we're going to go over that. I think it's on my calendar, so hopefully we're doing that. There's some things in there that we didn't agree to, so we got to sort of get that kind of worked out. The other thing that's going on is Mr. Widener's sort of lead developer person, a gentleman by the name of Kieran, left the company and is working for somebody else. So the things at Widener have sort of come a little bit to a halt as Kieran has moved on to another development company. So a little bit of both things, but we ought to be able to get this thing kicked out hopefully soon. But this is currently just getting an extension so we can keep the purchase and sale agreement active. So I would entertain a motion if we had one.
Your Honor, I'll make a motion for the City Council to authorize the mayor to sign a third amendment to the real estate purchase and sales agreement with Widener Apartment Homes for the Mission and Kittitas parking lot, extending the due diligence period and an additional 90 days.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Esparza, second by Councilmember Bailey, to authorize the mayor to sign the third amendment to the real estate purchase and sale agreement with Widener Apartment Homes, extending the due diligence period an additional 90 days. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Annexation, Chelan Douglas Land Trust property. Glenn.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Glenn DeVries, Community Development Director. You have previously seen this item in June. This property is a bit unique, if you're familiar with it, in that we don't have access to it. Trying to address that issue, we were doing notice to surrounding properties. The Chelan County, and it had been set up for hearing in June of this year, sorry. The Chelan County Assessor's Office indicated that they had a concern over that. And so to address our partnership with them in the annexation process, we talked about that issue with the applicant. Applicant is willing to post the site themselves, and we'll still do notice to surrounding property owners because there's no other way for really anyone else to see it. And so we're sorry about the additional hearing date, but we're requesting that a hearing date be set for November 8th, 2018. Any questions I can try to answer?
Glenn, just to, I guess, satisfy my curiosity, on the map on page 127, where it shows the property lines and then it shows the urban growth boundary, why don't those align with the property lines? Is it somebody just kind of willy-nilly draw the line wherever they wanted to, or not conform to the property lines, or it seems a little
No.
seems a little odd that they
There's-
wouldn't follow a property line when they
There's
drew.
a lot of things historically that happened with those maps on urban growth boundaries. Now we have much better mapping with geographic information systems and can do those things much more accurately. Historically, they were on paper maps, and those things were carried through on parcels. And so there are errors over time that we're tightening those up. And coordinating that with the county, and this is one that we've found and noted that we want to do also with them. That additional land outside the land trust is actually owned by the PUD, and makes no sense to bring in the urban growth boundary. So that'll be one of those things that we continue to work on to clean up those rough edges, and we'll be talking to the county about that.
Okay, thank you.
This is the property where the Kinsey Landing trailhead is supposed to be, or in that vicinity?
I'm sorry, I'm not certain, but I know they were doing I'm not sure the name, but I know they're planning a trailhead, and they're coordinating with McLaughlin to see what's possible.
Yeah, I think it is. So this isn't the last time we see it, because we see it one more time for the public hearing, correct?
That's correct.
All right.
Proposed for November 8th.
Perfect. Okay, I'd entertain a motion if we had one.
Your Honor, I'd make a motion for the City Council to approve resolution number 2018-36, fixing time for a public hearing on petition for annexation of an unincorporated area located directly west of Phase 8 and 9 of Broadview neighborhood at the end of Maiden Lane, also known as the Schland-Douglas Land Trust annexation.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Kulas, second by Councilmember Harold to approve resolution 2018-36, fixing the time for a public hearing on a petition for annexation of unincorporated area in the Broadview neighborhood at the end of Maiden Lane, also known as the Chelan-Douglas Land Trust annexation. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Mayor's report. I think really 3 or 4 sort of items. I think we've decided to move into the 3rd floor of the federal building somewhere around Thanksgiving. So I was up there today. Things are moving along quite nicely. So if you're around here that week of Thanksgiving, it will be hectic. We're planning on having a couple of people working there and a couple of people working up there doing utility billing, collecting money, sort of stuff. So bear with us for a little while as we sort of figure out where that's going. I think we plan to continue to meet here through the end of the year, which should, for us, is the December, I don't know if it's 9th or 10th, whenever that our last meeting is.
I know.
Yeah. Look at other stuff on my schedule. We've had some developers from the other side of the mountains interested in some of our property in our western foothills. I won't get specific, but we had a meeting with a developer from Seattle interested in some stuff on the other side of Western Avenue up in the foothills. So that was an interesting meeting. We do need to have a conversation with the school district. I've reached out to Brian Flonis, have not heard back. Would you mind?
No.
Would you mind getting a hold of the gal that works there and see if we can get something scheduled? We have a number of issues sort of with the school district that we got to sort of work out, including some access up there, school resource officer. I'm pretty clear we need a second one. And we have some other sort of real estate issues that we got to kind of work with them. So I've been doing an outreach. We did meet with the group doing the superintendent search. So myself and Chief Crown and Allison and Steve met with that group. I did a fireside chat. I've been doing sort of going to different departments. So I did the police department on Wednesday, an hour and 10 minutes or so. Got grilled pretty good. Not sure how I survived all that, but they had great questions. And so I really have enjoyed sort of doing that and talking sort of big city stuff with that. Had directors meeting today, finance committee today. We did go over the capital facilities budget. We made a couple of changes. We're just not quite there yet on Met Hell Park. We're close, just not quite all the way to the finish line. We've got 2 or 3 other sort of pending requests for money, including the Namas Foundation, the PUD, and the county on their .009 distressed county dollars. We got a letter from the port acknowledging not requesting that we get it, but saying that it qualifies and they're supportive. So we'll see whether or not we can get all that to the finish line. I think we're planning to construct it in 2019. I don't think anything's stopping us except for money. So at this point, we're sort of trying to get that all the way to the finish line. I'm welcoming the Trails Association tomorrow. 1:30 p.m. is the Parkside grand opening, if anyone's interested in going to that. And that's really all I sort of have. Tippecop this weekend, if you want to be at the East Wenatchee Bob's Burgers and Brews, not to be concerned with Bob's Classic East. We have enough Bob's restaurants. That's all I got. Allison, anything to add?
Our employee breakfast next Thursday morning,
Next
November
Thursday
1st.
morning. Really an enjoyable time at the convention center. Come in, have breakfast with the employees. We'll give out some more awards. We'll have a fun little time. It's always a good little chance to get together.
What was it?
It's Thursday.
Thursday, next week.
What time?
November 1st, so I'm certainly, everyone will be in tip-top shape after Halloween.
And the time?
7:30.
30.
7:30. 7's too early.
Yeah.
We did a couple early on in the winter time, and then, of course, it was the day they snowed, right? So they were all out plowing snow, and no one could show up. So we try to get it early enough where we don't have snow, and we can get most of the folks down there, so. Linda, thanks for hosting.
You're so welcome.
Okay.
Thank you for having it there.
Yep. And then I don't know who wants to go tour the jail on Thursday at 1, but you're all invited to go look. If any of you read the newspaper article this morning, I think the jail is having some financial issues, and I'm sure that's the reason why Mr. Larson wants to get us in there to kind of tour and look around. So I am going next Thursday to do that at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Council members, anything for the good of the order?
I'm not sure.
I'll jump in real quick and just, I wanted to say thank you to the mayor and the finance committee for doing a little assist to solid waste so that we can get our moderate waste facility collection site up and going. It's been sitting on the ground for so long now that prices have increased. So when we went out to try and finish the build, the cost of getting it built has increased so much that we're yet again short money. So I appreciate everybody's willingness to kick in a little bit to help it get going.
Yeah, and for the council's perspective, we have extra money in our waste, what's the fund called?
Our garbage fund.
Our garbage fund. So back when we were in the
Solid waste
garbage
fund.
business, we had a reserve, and then we got out of the business. Well, the money's still in the reserve account, so that money is going to be used, some of it, I think, less than $100,000 to help get that moderate waste facility up, which is a real need.
Oh my
You
gosh.
just, you don't want people dumping oil and antifreeze and gasoline in our stormwater pipes and all that stuff. So, yeah, no, it's nice to have some extra money to be able to do that. Linda?
I'm not sure, it's not set in stone yet, but I may not be here next Thursday. If I'm not, I will be calling in by phone.
Okay,
Okay?
excellent.
The 100-year anniversary of the Apple Blossom
Yes.
Festival is
Coming
this
up.
weekend.
Well,
The Wicked,
oh, the Wicked, yes.
the auction.
Okay, oh, yes,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
auction, I will be there. I'm a gangster.
That's why you're getting fancy
Yeah.
socks.
I know, exactly, yeah. I don't know what Chrissy's got me dressed up in, but I saw it showed up in a box, so. And will you be able to do the stuff on the 12th for me, the 11th?
I'm gone.
Okay.
Remember we're both gone.
We're both gone,
Yeah,
yeah.
we're
So
both
I had scheduled something, and Keith's wife is being appointed Grand Poobah at the Apple Blossom for the Applearians, so.
Do you want me to do it?
We'll have to find someone
I will
to
be
step
there.
in. Okay,
Yeah.
great. Thank you for doing that.
I'll write down that Linda.
I'm going to be on my honeymoon, so I.
You'll be in Cabo and I'll be in Cancun.
Linda, we have a key.
I
Two
know.
opposites.
All right, anything else for the good of the order? Thanks, everybody. We're adjourned.